Welcome to Gambletown. Going to Gambletown. I am your host, Waleed Ismail. Well, I don't know if I'm your host. I think I'm your co-host technically, because I think Tony's technically the host. I always kind of lead, but you know what? I'm Waleed Ismail. What I do here, who knows? I'm just here. With me as always, Tony Martin and the Viscounts of Gambletown, the man we have not been able to overthrow, and who's tried to let us overthrow him. Let's be honest. Ryan
Yeah,
Edgecombe.
I've given you a chance,
Yeah.
but
I also want to say I'm the point guard, Waleed,
Okay.
and I feel like you're the small forward, and I feel like Ryan's the center, whereas super producer Evan Hoovler would be the Phil Jackson of sorts.
I see him more as Larry Buss.
How we do last week, Waleed?
We did way better. We told you we were going to get. We had a nice little 2 game cold spell, but we got off the snide last week. As a show, we were 9-6 on our top 5 bets of the week, 1-5 on parlays. Our millie bets were 0-3, but those are always mostly long shot bets for us anyway. If only, and DJ Moore might have gotten his line for me if they'd decided not to just keep feeding Tyler Scott, because when you got Tyler Scott's as the Bears, you got to keep giving him those looks. That's one of the
Um,
things.
yeah.
This is what bad offenses do, and it drives me nuts. You know what I like about the Bills and the Eagles is they're like, oh, we got AJ Brown, we got Stephon Diggs. We're just gonna keep feeding it to our best player, and then other guys
Yes.
are like, my system is so clever. I got this awesome athlete, but no one's gonna expect a long pass to Velus Jones, who hasn't shown yet that he can catch a long pass. Like, why are you doing this?
That's a good point. I feel personally like on my process, I had a couple near misses this last week, and I'm really honestly like 2 catches and 10 yards away over 3 bets from being up an extra like $100 on the week. So
Yeah.
I'm actually feeling good because it means I'm close. It means that the process is still solid. So I did a lot of work this week. I'm ready to kick some ass. Ryan, you ready to kick some ass?
well, hell yeah.
Right.
All right.
Let's kick some ass.
All right. So let's start. Let's get up early and let's talk Miami, Kansas City. Technically Kansas City is the home team here. They are 1.5 point home favorites. A Dolphins win is plus 104 on the money line, and the total is 50.5. Waleed, what do you got?
Well, my first question is, how's the barbecue in Germany? Like,
Uh,
that's how I would determine whether Kansas City gets to beat the home team. Like, I know
I
that's
don't
how
think
this
it's
the
great.
NFL does. I mean,
I
they
don't think
like
the
their meats
barbecue
in
is great.
Germany.
They do, but it's a different type of cooking over there.
Uh, yeah, that is absolutely the case. So I look at this game. I kind of like the. I don't know if I'm really into prop bets. If I was going to take one prop bet, gun to my head, I am taking the receiving over for Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill is out for blood. He wants to show the Kansas City Chiefs that they messed up, and frankly, they. I don't know if they did, but they kind of did. Like, they would have won. They won the Super Bowl, but they would have won it with him too. And I look at their receivers now, and I'm just kind of like, man, you know what this offense could really use right now? Tyreek Hill. I think this is a Tyreek Hill revenge game, so I like his receiving over. The other thing I really like in this game, I want the over at 50 and a half. I understand that they're going to be in a different country, so that might like mess with their circadian rhythms. But at the same time, I don't see a universe where it isn't a high scoring game.
Okay.
I can't wrap my head around it. I think this is going to be like I think that over is going to be a smash.
Okay. Sure.
But that's
Yeah,
all I
this
have on this game.
Okay. Ryan?
this game will most likely be the I agree with Wally, the highest scoring game of the week, probably one of the best games of the week, hopefully. Let's hope it doesn't end up like the Kansas City loss last week to Denver. What was it 13-6 or something like that? I'm predicting a Dolphins win in this game. As Waleed
Ooh.
said, this is a Tyreek Hill revenge game. The Dolphins are part of my money line parlay this week. Since it is a Tyreek Hill revenge game, I am smashing his alternate line of over 100 yards at
Oh
plus
yeah.
112 or something like that. Let's
I
see,
love
I
it.
what was
love
it?
that.
Yeah, plus 112, 100 yards or more for Tyreek Hill. Um, I'm not going to bet his receptions. It's plus money, and I think it was at like 7.5.
Too high.
Um,
I saw
yeah,
that too.
it's too high. He'll get 100 yards with 4 or 5 catches, you know.
Yeah, for a guy with
Um,
his ADOT, like I don't want
right.
catches, I want yards.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's a good way of differentiating. I like that.
Yeah, I'm also taking an angry Tyreek Hill 2+ touchdowns for this game as well. Personally, I even put $2 down on Tyreek Hill 3+ touchdowns, so it's plus 2,500 to win $50. Because you never know. Tua could just go off in this game. Um, I will bet Tua's over 271.5 yards. I like that. I do not like Mahomes' line at 286 coming off of that horrible game, and he's got no one to throw to except Kelsey.
To be fair, he
Um,
was sick that game.
yeah, but Mahomes is Mahomes, and I think he can play just as well, even if he's sick. And it's evidence that something's not going right with that offense last week.
Matt
And
Nagy.
I think if teams have keyed up on, we really only need to single cover the rest of these guys, and if we can keep Kelsey in check, which they did last week. I think Kelsey only had 4 catches. Um, I think
Matt Nagy.
teams are figuring out that they don't have anyone to throw to. So this game's going to be really exciting. I'm very happy to get up in the morning and watch this. It's gonna be Tyreek Hill game all game. Oh yeah,
I
and
do want to add one thing to this. I do actually like the Travis Kelsey receiving. I think it's a
what's it at?
solid. I think it's a solid play because, like you say, he's the only guy they have to throw to. So
It's at 79.5.
yeah, but I
Um,
mean, that's
yeah, yeah, it's not bad, but he's gonna have to get 6 or 7 or 8 catches to get that. Um, Let's see. Also, one last thing to point out, Tua right now is on a 17 straight game with a passing touchdown. That's the longest streak in the NFL. Um, it's going to be tough for him to get Dan Marino. He had a career high of 30. But Tua's on a tear right now, and it in my mind, it's looking like a Dolphins game all the way, and I think Chiefs are going to be playing from behind the whole game. So
I mean, I will say this: don't undersell. Like a couple things with that game too. It looks like this is the first time all year that defense is actually going to be fully healthy, which matters. And like with Fangio, I think that should help them slow down Kansas City. Also,
sure.
Matt Nagy will help with that.
Yep.
Also, and finally, how many times can I drop Matt Nagy's name in this conversation? I hate him so much. I don't actually hate him, but I hate him as a coach. Like he seems like an actually nice guy. The other thing
Sure.
that is worth noting in this game that I just lost, I was so busy hating Matt Nagy, I forgot my second point. um, you know the Dolphins thing. One thing that is worth noting though is Kansas City's defense. This is the best it's been in years. Like the strength of this
Yeah.
City team is its defense, and I'm not sure the rest of the betting world is fully caught up to that. But having said that, I do think that it's like it doesn't matter how good your defense is. Miami's going to put up 30 points. Like that's just they are the highest scoring offense in the league by far. So that's why
Sure.
that over is a good play. And just the fact that Kansas City will have to play from behind, I think I agree with you in that this is going to be a Dolphins game.
I
Okay.
really hope so.
So I have some interesting stuff here. If you are first off, I just straight up took the Dolphins at plus odds. I just took them to win this
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
We have Kansas City went out there on Thursday. Miami went out there on Tuesday. Since this year, the Falcons and Jaguars left at the same time, but in the other two overseas games that have been played this year, the team that left later in the week is 0-2.
Yep.
Um, so I have some interesting stuff here. The first half point total is 24.5, and it's juiced to the over.
Okay.
Also the favorite in the first half is Chiefs by 1.5. And the total in the first half for Kansas City is 13.5. So I don't really know how this all aligns. I definitely think there's something that can be exploited here. If they're giving the Chiefs 1.5, they say the line is 24.5, but Miami is or I'm sorry, Kansas City's line is 13.5 in the first quarter. They're expecting Miami to only put up 10 points in the first quarter, but their line is at 12.5. So I think if you have a very specific game script in mind, I think that you can I think that you can exploit these lines in here and try to work something out where you're already ahead by the end of the first half. I actually think this game is gonna start off with a big Dolphins lead because, like I said, you have the rest differential.
Yeah.
And Waleed, I really wanted to bet the under and go against you, but then I saw these numbers that okay, Kansas City passes in the first half at the second highest rate in the league. They pass on 71% of their snaps in the first half.
Oh wow.
That checks out.
Miami passes at the fourth highest rate in the first half at almost 68%.
Damn.
So these two teams are going to be chucking the ball all over the field. And if the game's competitive, they're going to be throwing it in the second half too.
Yep.
So before we move on, like I said, I have the money line. I think Miami wins outright. And I'm really excited to watch what I hope is a good football game. Before we move on, I wanted to point out that the Germans brought brisket to the Americas. So the barbecue in Germany, I would assume, is pretty good.
Oh, that makes Kansas City. Makes me think it's going to be a closer game for Kansas City than I thought.
That's fair.
We'll
All
see.
right, we're moving on. Our first game of the noon slate, Rams going to Green Bay. Green Bay are 3-point home favorites. A Rams road win is plus 138, and the spread is the total is 38.5. Ryan.
All right. Guess what, guys? Jordan Love's thrown a pick in 5 straight games, and guess what's going to happen in this game? He's going to throw another pick, if not two. Um, I am not sure. Well, I guess I am kind of sure why the Rams are plus 138. It's because the uncertainty of Stafford. But I
Right.
think even if Stafford doesn't play, I'm still going to take a Rams win. Um, I do not like any of the reception totals or receiving yards for Green Bay Packers. One one line that I really do like in this game, if Stafford plays or he doesn't, I like it if Stafford doesn't play even more, is the over on Daryl Henderson's rushing yards at 47.5.
It's
I'm
so
smashing
low.
that. That is one of my top 5 bets of the week.
My
They
man.
only have Royce Freeman backing him up, and that's not good. Royce Freeman's horrible. Um, so one of the only bets that I'm really taking in this game is the Daryl Henderson over. This is this could be kind of a shit show as evidence of the line right now is at 38.5. I'm smashing that under as well. I
Yep.
think this game's like 20-10, 17-10, something like that. It's going to be real low scoring. But I am going to take the Rams to win, and I'm taking the Daryl Henderson over at 47.5.
Okay. Waleed.
So I want to point out because Ryan pretty much covered a lot of what I'm already thinking here. The under at 38.5 is a smash play, especially if Stafford is out. Because good God, like that is
Oh,
just a
oh yeah,
bad.
yeah. Oh yeah, can
I
I
mean,
can I also say one last thing really quick? The Packers have a minus 59 point differential in the first half of games this season. So, yeah, they're going to lose.
Okay.
um, well, like the other thing that I find, yeah, what I found fascinating about the Packers too, in the first half of games, in the last 4 weeks, they've scored 9 points. Like they are starting off slow and badly, and I think that that's going to continue, which I like, which I think feeds into that under. They're scoring on average 22 points a game, but if they're playing from behind, I think they're not going to be able to get away with that against the Rams like they can against teams like the Broncos and the Raiders. Like it's a lot easier. They're on a 4 game losing streak. The Packers are bad. Like they've the most they've scored is 20 points against the Lions, and that was garbage time anyway. I think. Like they're I don't see any universe where they come back with no Stafford. No, I can't get behind this game except for the under. I love the Daryl Henderson over, and I feel like there was one other thing I was thinking, but maybe not. Honestly, like this game
Um,
is ugly.
Yeah, there
Like,
is one line that I'm looking at for receiving yards right now. Um, one of my alternate kind of shitty tight ends of the week from the TH Fantasy podcast was Luke Musgrave. His line's only
Yep.
at 26.5. I might put that in a parlay with something, but
that is something that is worth looking at. I think that
yeah,
I
Rams
agree.
money line, like if I bet this game, I like the Rams money line too, just because I think even without Stafford, I think they should be able to win this game. If you've watched the Packers play the last few weeks, they're a mess. They
yeah,
look
Yes.
like they look dysfunctional, and frankly, as a Bears fan, I'm here for it. Like, it's about
yeah.
time they look like the rest of the NFC North.
I know it's in
Yep.
Lambeau, but I'm taking the Rams to win regardless of whether or not Stafford plays.
Yeah, but honestly, this is an ugly game to bet overall. The only thing that really
That's
is
Okay.
true.
worthwhile is that Daryl Henderson over, which is like I'm glad that you have it as one of your top 5 bets of the week because it's a line I absolutely
Yeah.
So it's Saturday at noon right now, and pretty much from Thursday at about 7 p.m. Central Time, and then I go to work on Friday. But between then and now, all I pretty much do is make content for this, for either
yeah.
Football Absurdity or for TH Fantasy, and I work with a bunch of people that know ball. You guys
Yeah.
know ball. Shane knows ball. Like everyone that I've talked to is everyone says Daryl Henderson is going to be great this week. And
Yep.
so when I see that and I'm already thinking that in my head and I hear that repeated from everybody, that's something that like we're all seeing something and that's valuable to me,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
Um I considered and if there ends up we were talking about touchdown parlay bets this week and if one does post, and shit, I might even just throw a couple bucks on it for funsies. A Daryl Henderson anytime touchdown.
Sure.
Um, I'm not big on touchdown bets. They don't really do it for me. Like I worry, there's so much. It's like it's not sticky. Um, the Packers have given up 7 rushing touchdowns in 7 games this year,
Yep.
and that includes a 3 touchdown game. So they've only not allowed a rushing touchdown 2 out of 7 games this year. They've given up rushing touchdowns to Roshan Johnson, Desmond Ritter, 3 to David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, and Cam Akers got a touchdown last week. So the Rams are 4th in the league in rushing percentage when inside the 10. They rush the ball on 61% of their plays. So I like a Daryl Henderson touchdown as something maybe if you want to shoot the moon on a parlay with the under or something like that. But for the Degenerates Gambit, the article I write for Football Absurdity, where I'm, by the way, 19 and 14, no big deal. The my long shot play of the week was the Rams to win straight up, and so hearing
Oh
this
yeah.
from you guys as well that we're all
Oh,
unanimous in a Rams win feels good. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we do our DFS defense segment.
oh, thank you for reminding me about that because that was actually one of the things I wanted to bring up about that. That was the other thing I got.
Sure, go
In
ahead.
DFS, the Rams are the second cheapest defense. So if you want to spend money in other places, I think the
Yep.
Rams are a great sneaky play of getting some value at defense while also being able to bolster your lineup in other places.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
sure
I'm
that's
at
what
like
you is that what you were
90%.
gonna say?
Yeah, I'm at like I think I've only got like 5 DFS lineups so far,
Yeah.
but they're in like 90% of my builds.
Yeah,
So
because like I can spend money elsewhere if I use them and they're playing a team that sucks. Like that's what I want.
correct. Correct.
Uh
All right, so we're moving on. Tampa Bay. Going to Houston. Tampa Bay coming off what could have been a win against Buffalo. Houston got blown out by Carolina. Houston are still 3-point home favorites. A Tampa road win is plus 130, and the point spread is an even 40. So, Ryan, what do you got?
Um, I'm taking Houston to win this game.
Okay.
Um, I think Stroud, after last week, is going to reemerge and be somewhat of what he was in the first few games of the season.
Okay.
The Buccaneers defense right now is giving up somewhere around like the fifth most passing yards per game, and 10th most fantasy points to quarterback, something like that in those realms. Um,
Okay.
Tampa's also coming off a 3 game streak loss, I believe. Um, yeah, they've lost 3 in a row. And I don't know. It's outside of Mike Evans, they don't look like they did in the beginning of the season and starting to become who we thought they were going to be, the Buccaneers. So I really like CJ Stroud in this. I'm going to take his over passing 236.5 yards. I'm also going to take Tank Dell's reception over a 3.5. I like Nico Collins. His line is a little high at 60.5, but I like his reception at 4.5. Um, Other than that, this is a Houston game for me. So anything with Stroud or Tank Dell or Nico Collins, I'm all in for it. I'm thinking the overs or the lines at 40. I'm inclined to
Right.
bet the over. Um, So even though it's juiced to the under, I think this is going to be a high scoring game for the Texans, 24 to 30 points for them. And Tampa will be playing from behind the whole game.
Okay. Waleed?
I'm not as convinced that this is like a surefire Houston win. I think it's going to be interesting because this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, I think against a rookie quarterback, they're going to give him looks. Like it's going to be a tougher game. But a couple of lines that do stand out to me, I think the Baker Mayfield passing over at 236.5 looks like a pretty strong play. Just based on his
Sure.
usage, he should get those yards. But the bet that I think is the real value here is 29.5 receiving yards for Rashad White. He, if you actually have been paying attention to what he's been doing in the passing game, he's he's like a little mini Alvin Kamara right now. His last 2 games, he's got 65 and 70 yards receiving. He's getting a lot more usage in the passing game because he kind of has to. He's not as good running the ball, but like overall, he's been a sneaky volume play this
He
year.
has.
So I think that's something that's interesting. I'm kind of curious because his rushing and receiving line overall, I don't know if I like the combined lines with him, but yeah, I don't think I do. I think the Rashad White receiving over is a fun play here. Other than that, I'm not really interested in betting this game. I think there's too many. I see too many outcomes that are possible here, which makes me like the game less and less.
Okay. I have 2 plays in this game. One of them is the Rashad White receiving over. Um, because even though he's only hit that number. He's hit it 2 weeks in a row, but before that, he hadn't hit it at all.
He hit
If
it
we think
once.
that, yeah, he hit it one time. We're starting to see like an increased yards per catch, which is huge. And Houston gives up the 7th most receiving yards to running backs already, so they can be beat. Um, after the catch, where a dude like Rashad White can do some real damage. So that's part of a parlay I have, but we'll tie that in when it ends. But one of my top 5 bets of the week is in this game, and it's a weird one, guys. It's
I noticed that.
Nico Collins' longest reception line at 22.5 yards. So let's talk a little bit about Nico Collins this year and what his longest catch in a given game was. It's been over 22.5 every game except for last week.
Mm.
So he's hit it every single time. And this season in Tampa Bay, 9 out of 14 of the starting wide receivers they've gone against has caught a pass longer than 22.5 yards against Tampa Bay. So everything to me points towards Nico. And so we kind of talked about this. You guys have alluded to it. With game script being weird, you never know. Sometimes Nico disappears. But even in games where he doesn't produce a ton, he's usually getting 1 or 2 splash plays.
Yeah.
So um, I think Nico's got a chance to have a big game. I do, but I'm also trying to insulate myself, so I'm not going to do yardage or catch props. I'm going to rely on the dude that has like an almost 16, 17 yard per catch average and hope that he can break one. So that is the play that I have from the Tampa Bay Houston game.
I
Ready
think
to move
that's
on?
smart too because I like the fact that Like, because CJ Stroud does distribute it. It's very hard to predict who the best receiver on the team is going to be in any given week. He
Correct.
so like I think this is a good way to hedge that.
Yeah. I don't we don't know what the target share is going to look like. We don't know necessarily how they're going to play it, but I know that they will get Nico his shots, and his shots tend to come, a little bit deeper on those crossing routes. All right. So, let's move on to a game that I've been talking about all fucking weekend.
Oh yeah, this is the game of the week. Who cares about Buffalo and Cincinnati when you can get Washington and New England?
Let me tell you, I love this game. We have the New England Patriots as 2.5 point home favorites. A Commanders win is plus 126 on the money line, and the total is 40.5. Waleed?
Truth be told, I hate this game. I want nothing to do with it. The one thing I will say, I think New England minus 2.5 is a pretty solid play. My big concern with this game is while Sam Howell is not technically a rookie, he's a young enough quarterback that I think Bill Belichick is going to do things that make his life hell. Like, I actually think New England's defense is going to be a really fun play for DFS this week. Um, I'm looking at the passing lines too. Like Sam Howell's passing line is too high for me. I can't touch it because I could see him either getting 300 yards or 100 yards in this game, depending on how he fares. Even like I don't even know that garbage time will be an option. I think Terry McLaurin at 62.5 is receiving over, and Logan Thomas at 33.5, his receiving over are both viable plays. But truth be told, I don't want to bet this game, so I'm probably not going to.
Okay. Ryan?
All right. So I think this is going to be a Patriots win. Right now, Washington opponents are averaging over 250 yards passing per game and 7.5 yards per attempt. We're going to see some good flashes for Mac Jones. I like his line at 222.5. I'll bet that over. There are no lines right now for Demario Douglas, but you can bet on a Demario Douglas touchdown at plus 220.
Mm.
But other than that, I don't want too much in this game. I know Tony has a lot to say, so take it away.
Ryan, what more could I say that you haven't just said? I love it. All right. Um, I'll talk a little bit more about Demario Douglas when we get to our DFS segment this week. But for right now, Ryan has already been fed the propaganda. Okay. When we built our
True.
Superflex lineup
Yeah.
last night, um,
Oh, I'm gonna need
I
that
I
link.
gotta tell you, I love Mac Jones this week. Um, okay, so I think this game has shootout written all over it. Um,
Hmm.
Washington passes at the highest rate in the league,
That is true.
and New England is always in man, especially recently. So after they lost Christian Gonzalez, I feel like they use man more often. Howell does well against man, but I love Mac Jones because Washington has allowed 7 quarterback one performances this week in 8 games. No other team has allowed more than 5.
That
So
is. Ooh,
they just traded away their 2 best down
Yeah.
like interior
edge
defenders,
rushers. Yeah.
and so I really think being that they already give up the second most receiving yards to wide receivers specifically and the third most passing yards to quarterbacks specifically, if there was ever a time for a Mac Jones game, it's now. Because if you remember, do you guys remember last year? I made a ton of money on the Patriots over the Ravens in like week 3, betting on Mac Jones, where he eventually got hurt
Yeah.
because he can beat bad matchups.
That
This
no,
is a
that checks
bad
out.
matchup. This is a bad matchup, and so I think this game has sneaky potential to be the highest scoring game of the week.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if there is a highest scoring game on Sunday. The odds are plus 1,300 for Commanders and Patriots. So that's if I get wild between now and then, I might throw $1 on that and just see what happens. So,
Oh,
all
okay.
right, I love this game. I'm gonna go back to the real world here and we can go talk actual football teams that matter. All right. Bears, Saints.
I thought we were
New
talking about
Orleans.
actual football teams that matter.
You know how Ryan feels about Derek Carr. Saints are 8.5-point home favorites. A Bears upset would be plus 315. The point total is 41 even. Ryan.
All right, so the Saints are going to roll the Bears in this one. They're putting up, let's see, 400 net yards in the past 3 games. Um, some of the lines I really like right now. Rashid Shaheed, 31.5. He can get that in one catch.
Hmm.
Um, I like Chris Olave's receptions at 5.5. There is no reception line for Shaheed just because he's going to have 1 or 5.
Right.
I know Tony really likes the Kamara over right now at 4.5. I really
Yep.
like that too. It's juiced. Last week it was 5.5. It was plus money. This week it's minus 130 at 4.5. I think he's gonna get that. He'll be back on track. I don't know what happened last week, but they just abandoned the pass. And
Well, he scored too much.
yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. Uh, if you think New Orleans is gonna get sneaky and do some Taysom Hill stuff, his line right now is only 17.5 rushing yards, and it's juice minus 122. You could put that in your parlay. Um,
I
other
like
than
that.
that, I'm taking the Saints win. Um, it sucks that we're Bears fans having to say that, but let's tank this season and get that first round pick.
Yeah. Waleed?
Um,
I don't even
Oh,
care
I'm
about the
yeah,
sorry.
first round pick. I just want to tank the season so that they can try to get Eberflus fired. If they win too many games, I'm not convinced he won't be back.
It's
true.
So
unfortunate.
I'm gonna throw the stat out here. I don't know if you guys might have already heard it on the radio. Do you know when the last time the Bears have won in the Super Bowl is? In the Superdome is?
One.
I want you guys to guess. When's the last time
Was it the
Uh,
they've
Super
won a
Bowl?
game in the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl.
1996.
Hmm?
I think it
96.
was the Super Bowl.
Nope. The last time was in 1994 or 5 with Jim Harbaugh. He didn't even have 100
Ooh.
yards passing in that game. Yeah, that is the last time they've won in the Superdome. So let's just say it. Let's call it what it is. The Saints are going to win this game. Like, or maybe the Bears are due. Who knows? Uh,
Right. Happening.
the line that I like a lot in this game, there's a couple things, and one of them is my top 5 bet of the week. But I like the Derek Carr passing over 250.5. He's one of the top quarterback plays of the week, I think.
Yeah.
I also like the Olave receiving over. But the bet that's my top 5 bet of the week here is the Alvin Kamara rushing plus receiving combined at 98.5 yards. Reason I'm going with the combination is because I know Alvin Kamara is going to get the usage. He's getting about 25 looks a game over the last 4 weeks. Uh, Now, whether that's in the rushing or receiving game, kind of depends on game script. And I'd rather just not like guess on it. I'd rather just take the flat line and trust that combined he will hit that. I think this is one of the smartest plays of the week, and that's what I'm about here.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, the other part of my weekly parlay is that Alvin Kamara over 44.5 receptions, pairing that with Rashad White's 27.5 receiving yards. Kamara over 4.5 receptions is also in my top 5 bets of the week. Listen, Tremaine Edmonds out. Um, the Bears give up the most receiving yards to running backs.
Yep.
And at the same time, it's not just that they give up splash plays, like they are giving up 6 catches a game to opposing running backs. And
Yeah.
and so this to me, I know that when this week started, when I looked at this game, I thought, okay, this is a great game for Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, because Derek Carr's going to be able to sit in the pocket and wait for his guys to get through the zone. But
Sure.
I think the fact that like Montez Sweat is there, even if he's on a rotation, I think that means Derek Carr will have less time in the backfield, in the pocket to pass. You got Ngakwe, got Justin Jones, you got a rotation at that other interior line spot. Like, they know their coverage is busted. Brisker's out too. They're missing two parts of their pass defense. They need to generate pressure, and I think Alvin Kamara is going to be the one that gets a lot of those dump offs.
I think so
So
too.
I'm all over Alvin Kamara's receiving overs. I will ride that directly into the sun.
I will also say there's one other bet that I think is worth noting. The Donta Foreman 36.5 rushing yards. That's a really low line for a guy who's going
Yeah,
to get
but
10
Washington,
carries.
or sorry, New Orleans is a really good run defense.
They are a really good run defense, but the thing that I will say about the Bears is they're also a really good run offensive line, and they're going to commit to running the football with Tyson Bagent back there. They have no choice. So I think just by pure volume, he should be able to hit that.
I just really like
I,
the run to pass percentage has been pretty, like, I don't know if it's been disappointing or what. I don't know what it is. All
I
right,
get it.
let's
I like, and don't get me wrong. I'm the only thing I'm really betting on this game is that receiving rushing total because
sure.
because I think, like you said, I think the game script is going to demand that Kamara is the focus of everything they do, and
Sure.
and I don't want too many outcomes in this game, which could be just the ugliest game of the week.
Sure. All right, so let's move on. Let's go Minnesota going to Atlanta. Falcons are 3.5 point favorites because Arthur Smith is so smart. A Vikings upset is a plus 154 on the money line, and the total is 37.5. Ryan, go off.
I want absolutely nothing to do with this game. We
My
have two
man,
quarterbacks. We have two quarterbacks that are going to be starting new this week. The only thing I'm interested is smashing this under. I don't even think the teams get to 30 points. It's at 37.5. I just want the under. This game's going to be a shit show, I think. Especially because I know that Atlanta has, a really good rushing offense with Bijan and Algier, but the Vikings defense, the last three games has been giving up 13.3 points per game. So the Vikings defense is starting to get stuff together. So I actually, in redraft this week, picked up a lot of Minnesota to go up against Atlanta this week. But other than that, I'm just smashing the under in this game at 37.5.
Okay. Waleed?
honestly, Brian said exactly what I feel. I want nothing to do with this game, so why would I? Like, I think the fact is we don't have enough data on Heineke in the Atlanta offense or Jaron Hall in the Vikings offense. There's so many outcomes that can happen. I think that it's going to be a low scoring game. I think the under is the only play that's worthwhile. But at the same time, it could not be. I'm not touching this game. Like there are better options for me to bet on. I don't have to bet on
Okay. I'm all over this game, so fuck you guys.
everything.
So I have some stuff here. My millionaire bet is in this game.
All that.
I am
Wow.
taking Tyler Algier's rushing over at 36.5 as my millionaire bet of the week.
Bijan
Uh,
Robinson breakout game confirmed.
Let me ask you guys a question. Does Atlanta win this game?
I am
No, I
not
actually
convinced
took
of that.
I
Okay.
took Minnesota. I took Minnesota in confidence pool this week. Low points, but I took them to win.
Okay. Because I think Atlanta wins this game pretty handily. And Algier, in games that the Falcons lose, averages 8.7 rushes for 27 yards. Tyler Algier, in games that the Falcons win, has not only hit this over in all of them, he averages 17.2 rushes and 58.5 yards.
Ooh, I like that stat. If you believe that, that's the right call then.
Right. So Atlanta has a pretty nice like advantage in terms of like run blocking versus opponent run defense. So I think there's a chance that they get a lead and they just pound the rock, and that line is low enough that I feel good if he gets 15 carries, he's going to get 36 yards, right? So also, you guys are saying you got all this stuff, you're not sure, you're worried about this, you're worried about that, whatever. Listen, while we were recording just now, I saw something posted that I've been waiting to see post uh, for days now, and I just threw $10 down on Van Jefferson's over 2.5 receptions at plus 140.
Oh, I like that. I saw your
So
note. I remember your note card from last week.
yeah, so here's what happens with this how my process works is that like I try to watch the games that are presenting me like situations that are going to be new that I know are new ahead of time. And so I watched the whole Tennessee Atlanta game from last week and I charted all of Will Levis's targets and I charted all of Taylor Heineke's targets and dropbacks. Um he came in at the half and in that time, Van Jefferson had 5 targets in one half of football. So,
Yeah.
I think being that Heineke's been the backup and Van Jefferson's been lower in the totem pole since getting traded to Atlanta, I think they've got chemistry. Drake London is out, and Minnesota. Let's see. Minnesota gives up the 7th most yards to opposing wide receivers, which means these guys are going to be getting open. I wasn't so. I liked his yardage prop. Let me pull it back up here real quick. Van Jefferson's receiving yards prop is 26 and a half. From what I saw, his receptions went 10 yards. He went deep to him. Another 10-yard catch for Van Jefferson. And then Van Jefferson caught a 6-yard pass. And then there was a drop on 4th down, which ended the game. So also a short pass. So I don't think the yardage is as tempting to me as the catches because if they use him short, he's going to be just fine. So I like Tyler Algier and I like Van Jefferson in this game, and I know that that makes me an absolute sicko. All right, let's go. Let's move on.
All right. Let
Cleveland, Arizona. I'm sorry, I feel like I just broadsided you guys with that. All that
No,
Atlanta
I
stuff.
think that's a good process. I understand exactly why you're making the choices you're making. Um,
Yeah, 2.5 just seems too low for me. That seems
it,
like something he could do in the first half.
Man,
All right, so
at plus 140, I'm adding that to something right now.
yeah,
yeah.
no shit, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Arizona at Cleveland, Clayton Tune's first game. Cleveland are 11.5 point home favorites. The money line's plus 520 and the line's 38.5. Waleed, start us off.
So what I'm looking at here, here's my thing. I want to know if Kyler Murray's playing. If
He's
Kyler
not.
Murray's playing, has that been confirmed? Because
They
like at
they I'm pretty sure Schefter declared Clayton Tune the starter.
Well, they
see,
still
because they
don't have
said it.
any lines up.
Yeah, and they actually like ESPN had an article last night that basically said Kyler Murray is trying to ramp up to get into this game. So I don't know. Like I don't think anything's been determined, which is why I'm
Schefter said
hesitant.
Schefter said Clayton Tune's expected to make his first NFL start Sunday at Cleveland per sources.
Okay.
So I'm not at this point. I'm just assuming no. That's how I'm approaching this from a betting aspect.
And that's fine. I'm not betting anything until I have a confirmed starter on this game because I
Sure.
don't necessarily like. I will say Amari Cooper over 56.5 is a really solid play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be he's one of the top 10 like guys of the week probably from a usage and like production. And we know Deshaun Watson is playing, but then he might only play for like 2 snaps and then leave again.
Right.
That's the thing. You know what? No, I don't want any part of this game. Screw it. I'm done.
Okay. Ryan?
Um, so the Browns defense, regardless of who's starting at Arizona's quarterback, is only given up like a little over 160 yards passing per game. So whoever's starting is going to have a horrible game. Um, the only thing I really might throw some fun money down on is a Cleveland Browns touchdown at plus 500.
Defense?
Um, the defense, yeah, sorry. And Cleveland's going to win this game. I don't really want too much part of this right now in terms of
I will
betting.
say this: if Kyler Murray starts, I will throw $1 on the Arizona
Money
Cardinals
line?
money line. Yeah, at those
Yeah,
odds.
520.
But then again, I think those odds will go down tremendously if he does start, and then I won't want to make that bet. There is one bet that I think is worth looking at here. Jerome Ford over 44.5 rushing yards against the Cardinals run
Yeah,
defense is
that's
actually a really good value play.
that's the only rush line they have right now.
Yeah, but it's the only rush line you need because Arizona's
True.
like top 5 like run defense when it comes to like giving up yards.
Oh, I got a thing for you. Ready for
Okay,
me?
I'm ready for you.
Okay. Here's the problem with this game. Is it's destined to be an under game. It was written in the
Yeah, it
stars
is.
that it's an under game. But it's weird because they sync up in a weird way. Arizona has the second highest yards before contact per carry this season, but Cleveland allows the lowest yards before contact per carry. So it's a strength versus strength situation that I'm really excited to see how it works out. Um, I love Cleveland's rushing matchup this week because not only do they rush at the second highest rate in the NFL at almost 45%, but um, Arizona, all right, here's the deal. It's week 9. Okay. So teams have only played 8 games. The Cardinals have allowed 9 top 24 running back finishes this season.
Mm.
So that's more. They've allowed multiple backs in a game to be a top 24 back in fantasy. So the problem is that the snap share has been really weird for Cleveland. Like you're talking Jerome Ford's rushing line, and it makes total sense to me because he's averaging over 50 yards a game. He had less snaps than Hunt and Pierre Strong last week.
Yeah,
Like that's the thing is like I don't have any insider knowledge on how usage is going to look in this game, and that's why I don't want to bet anything for it.
that's fair.
Sure.
You just made me not want to bet that rushing line
If
because I
if
didn't even think about that.
if you, my friends, or any of the 3 people watching right now on YouTube have a lead on who's going to get the most touches in this Cleveland backfield this week, message your boy and let's make some fucking money because this is an insane matchup that is just murky, 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 murky.
So here's what I say. What I want to look for. Once all the lines post, who has the lowest rushing over? Because they're gonna distribute it fairly like differently, and then just go with just go with that guy.
Deku says it's
Deku
Ford,
Deku says Deku says it's force, and his sources trust me, bro. It's
and you
Ford.
know what? Like he's from across the pond, which means it probably sounded really smart coming out of his mouth.
Oh yeah,
All right,
he
so
said it. He said it wearing a bowler hat, so you know you can trust him.
all right, so we are going Seattle at Baltimore. Baltimore 5.5 point home favorites. Seattle upset plus 220 on the money line. Point total 44.5. Ryan.
All right, so this game has one of my top 5 bets of the week. I'm going with Zay Flowers receptions over at 4.5. Um, let's see here. Flowers has been on fire lately. He's clearly the number one wide receiver. I know it's juiced to minus 148, but let's put it together with my same game parlay for the week. All right. I'm going with a Gus Edwards anytime touchdown, Zay Flowers over 4.5 receptions, the Baltimore money line, and the under on the game at 44.5. That gives you odds of plus 857. So I'm throwing $5 down on it to make 47, a little over $47. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I think that Baltimore is going to just own this game. And I'm thinking like 24-10. I think Seattle's going to have a tough time scoring in this game.
Yeah, they are.
I don't really like any of the Seattle lines. Um, but yeah, like I said, the under I think is going to hit. And Zay Flowers for sure. 4.5 receptions. I like Gus's line. Let's see. Gus's line is at 54.5. I don't know. I like him more for a touchdown than I do the line of 54.5.
Okay.
Um, and his odds for a touchdown are almost minus. They're plus 105. So um, he's been on fire last few weeks. So I think he continues that, especially against this horrible Seattle defense.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
I think it's worth noting that the horrible Seattle defense gives up the fourth fewest rushing yards right now. So
not but not this week when they're playing a team that all they do is run.
yeah,
Third,
no, I get what
third
you're saying.
highest rate.
the only play on this game that I personally like is Zay Flowers. I like his receiving over 56.5. This is a good matchup. Because what was I looking at here? Sorry. They if you look at the zone man matchup, like Zay Flowers kills it in zone. He's tied for 24th in fantasy points per route run against zone, and they run zone at the highest rate, the Seattle Seahawks. So this feels like a Zay Flowers week. I like his receiving and receptions over. Other than that, I'm not really interested in this game.
I don't have any bets in this game, but I also love Zay Flowers because not only, like you said, is he 24th in fantasy points per route run against zone, he gets a target on almost 23% of all of his routes in against zone. So he knows where to sit, he knows where to get open, and I think I echo you two when I say Zay Flowers week.
Yep.
All right, let's go to Carolina. We have the Colts at the Panthers. Colts are 2.5-point road favorites. A Panthers home wins plus 114 on the money line. Totals 43.5. Waleed.
So this is the game that I actually have the most action on, I think. Adam Thielen over 66.5 receiving yards is my top one of my top 5 bets of the week. I was looking at his receptions line, and it went up from 5.5 when you got it to 6.5, but that's plus 108. And that reception line is just a little bit too high for my comfort levels. And I think his
Sure.
receiving yards are going to hit pretty well. I think this is a really good matchup for Adam Thielen. What was I looking at for Adam? Well, while I'm looking up the stuff for Adam Thielen, I also want to point out on the other side of the football, I really, really, really like Michael Pittman this week. This is a good matchup for him, and it actually ends up being my same game parlay of the week. Um, so yeah, what I was looking at is oh, you know what? Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Yeah, well, sorry, I got distracted here. My top 5 bet of the week here. I got the Adam Thielen over 66.5 receiving yards. I took Adam Thielen over 6.5 receptions. But oh, you know what? It's not a same game parlay. Never mind. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But Adam Thielen over 66.5 receiving yards is a bet that I really like. I also like the Michael Pittman over 62.5. This matchup is really good for him, but it just missed making my top 5. Like those are the
Okay.
plays that I think are really strong. On the rushing side, I actually think Jonathan Taylor at 67.5 also a really strong matchup.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree with that. I really like Jonathan Taylor's rushing over this week at 67.5. Carolina's giving up something like the second most fantasy points to running backs. So I think it's a Jonathan Taylor week. Um, and let's see. I really don't have too much else in this game. I agree. I like that Thielen line, and like you said, Waleed 6.5. It's a little bit too high for me. He'll probably get it, but I don't want to take that risk. Uh, um, but I will bet his yards instead of his receptions and the Jonathan Taylor over.
Okay. So I want to point out some stuff here because I have a lot in this game. Thielen has had 35% or higher target share in 3 straight games. That's that's comical. That's like video game shit.
Right.
Um, Colts are second in zone deployment. They're bottom 10 in zone efficiency. Thielen gets 21% of his routes against zone. He gets a target. Let's see. Carolina Panthers are in zone quite a bit when they're on defense, and they kind of suck at it too. All right, Indianapolis Colts, third best yards before contact per carry when adjusted for defensive yards before contact. The Panthers have allowed 9 top 24 running back performances this season in 7 games.
Ooh.
Multiple. I mean, we're talking like this is historically bad. Uh, we talked about this. They allow the second most rushing yards per game to opposing backs. When we recorded the podcast last night, which you can find on all major streaming podcast services, Shane likes Zach Moss's line because it's lower and he thinks both of them are going to eat. But My same game parlay is in this game, and it does have the Jonathan Taylor over 67.5. We've seen the snap share start kicking back towards Taylor as the weeks have gone by. I love that. I ended up getting a profit boost. So what I did was I teased down a little bit of the Adam Thielen stuff. I got the receptions at 5.5 because I went in early, and instead of doing his regular line, I just did 50. I did an alt line and I brought it down a little bit because I know I'd make up for it with the boost. So I got it to plus 324, put 10 on it, and if that hits, I'll be up $42.49.
I love it.
I also like in the Degenerates Gambit, which, like I said, you can read on the Football Absurdity website. I also like the Colts to cover 2.5. So, all right, so let's move on. Here's I wouldn't say sneaky, not even close to sneaky game of the week potential. Dallas going to Philly. Philly are 3-point home favorites. A Dallas upsets plus 148, and the total's 46.5. Waleed, start us off.
I honestly don't really want to bet this game. I don't have anything in it. I think the Eagles should win. I could see the Cowboys winning. Although I don't know, Mike McCarthy against good teams generally isn't going to do very well. So I think
Sure.
I think I lean towards the Eagles -3. I don't. I'm not feeling anything in this game.
All
So
right,
you can go
Ryan.
on to someone else.
So the Eagles have a really, really good rushing defense, but their pass defense is it's the exact opposite. So uh, my mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week is Jake Ferguson this week. I'm
Big
going
Bird.
to bet I'm going to bet his reception over at 3.5 and his yardage over at 32.5. There's going to be a lot of short passes that need to be made by Hurts in this game, I think. Um, as Dallas's run defense puts some pressure. Um, I am going to stay away from AJ Brown's uh, receptions or reception yardage over, but one of my top 5 bets of the week is the AJ Brown over 5.5 receptions. Um, I'm staying away from the yardage over because Dallas's defense has the I can't remember which game it was, but they've only the most yards a wide receiver they've let up is 86. So it's not looking good for AJ Brown to get his 7th consecutive 125 plus yard game. Yes, it is AJ Brown, it could happen, but I'm hesitant to bet that. Um, other than that, yeah, this game's gonna be hopefully a shootout. So I'm just going with Big Ferg, and I'm going AJ Brown over 5.5 receptions.
Okay. 2 of my top 5 bets of the week are in this game because I think this game, even if it doesn't produce like a huge score, I still think we're going to see a lot of yards. We're going to see a lot of great plays. This is just one of those games that makes you really enjoy football. Um, I took CD Lamb's alternate receiving line at 70 yards. I feel like he's flirted with like okay, his yardage. What is his actual line at? Do you guys have that? Or pull it up.
Which one?
77.5.
Okay, CD Lamb's actual line is 77.5. Something that I noticed when looking at his numbers, he either gets like 71 or 130.
Yep.
So I decided since I think Vegas priced it so well at 77.5, I actually teased it back down to 70, and that's one of my top 5 bets of the week. Um, I think that's a little bit more consistent of a play, something that I feel more comfortable with in a game that is going against one of the worst defenses at defending the pass. I mean, if you can make Jahan Dotson look good again, CeeDee Lamb's going to be just fine. And I love AJ Brown's receiving over this week. I don't care. You can say like the numbers are great and Dallas's numbers are incredible, and then you look and you realize Dallas has played both New York football teams, Arizona, New England, San Francisco, and both LA teams. So tell me exactly how they're going to do when they go up against another one of these elite quarterbacks. You really can't. So I'm betting on AJ Brown to continue to kill it. Dallas is 4th in their usage of man. A.J. Brown is 1st in the league in yards per route run against man coverage. The Cowboys run single high and man coverages at those top 3 rates. And yeah, A.J. Brown is also 3rd in yards per route run against single high safety. So this to me screams another A.J. Brown strength on strength, but I think like A.J. Brown is just better. If he's against man defense, you assume he's going to win those 50-50 balls. And then one last thing about CeeDee Lamb, in case you were concerned, in 8 games, Philadelphia has allowed 12 top 24 wide receiver finishes this season, 3 more than anybody else.
I want to add something on top of the CD Lamb thing.
Go ahead.
CD Lamb is running routes out of the slot at 67%. The Philadelphia Eagles have given up the most receiving yards to the slot receiver. So I actually
Correct.
think that CD Lamb receiving over is probably a smash play this week.
And I really would like to take his over, but I think I'm willing to just step down a little bit to
Make sure you get paid.
yeah, exactly. That's most important here. I'm very vain. Um so let's go to a game that I think has no business being as fun as it's going to be, and that's the Giants going to Las Vegas to play the Raiders.
Ooh, I
Um
love this game.
Yeah, I
The
really
Raiders
like
are
this game
one and
too.
a half point home favorites now that Josh McDaniels is gone. Giants are plus 108 on the money line, and the point total is 37 and a half. Waleed, go ahead.
So, top 5 bet of the week, my millionaire bets, and part of my same game plus parlay all have one thing in common, and that thing is Saquon Barkley. There is no play this week I like more than Saquon Barkley's rushing 76 and a half. It's so freaking low. It is so low considering that the Raiders give up the second most rushing yard to teams. And here's the thing, the Giants don't have anyone else. They have to keep feeding it to Saquon Barkley if they want to stay relevant. I want all the Saquon Barkley shares. I also, though, do like that Josh Jacobs rushing over. I think
Mhm.
that he might have new life just based on the fact that he doesn't have to deal with Josh McDaniel. I'm probably not going to bet Josh Jacobs because that that offensive line is terrible for the Raiders, and that's not Josh McDaniel's fault. He just can't scheme him open. But at the same time, I'm not gonna bet. I can't bet on Josh Jacobs here because Josh Jacobs has been breaking my heart all season.
Yeah.
Let
So,
me see what. Let me
okay.
see if there's anything else here I like. No, I think that's about it.
Okay.
I ended Devontae Adams, but no, I can't really do it.
Okay.
Like
All
Josh
right.
Jacobs at 74 and a half, he's only hit that rushing over once this year.
Correct. Go ahead, Ryan.
I really like Devontae Adams reception over right now at 5.5. I don't necessarily like his receiving over, but I'm gonna take that. So they're gonna have to feed him the ball because most likely Vegas is gonna be playing from behind. I agree with Waleed on Saquon. I I'm gonna bet he's gonna get over 100 yards. All right, the
Yeah.
both even and the Giants even have both of their starting tackles coming back this week too. So that's gonna open up some holes for him to run through too. But other than that, anything Saquon, you know what? Let's see. What's his alternate? I'm gonna bet over his 100 alternate, which is
I
plus
want to say it's like
205.
two. Yeah, I want to say it's
Yeah,
like
plus
200.
205. And you know what? Screw it. His over 150 is 922. Maybe even throw a couple bucks on that. Because Vegas is giving up over 140 yards per game to the running game of the opposition. Um, it's just going to be a Barkley week. That's all I got to
My,
say about this game.
my millionaire bet of the week is Saquon at over 125 rushing yards at plus 450. So
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I'm 100% with you. I was gonna ladder that, but since I'm making, I was gonna ladder him, but since he's my millionaire bet of the week, I'm just gonna keep that and hope he hits his rushing total and be happy with those odds.
Sure.
Okay. Um, I also have a bet of the week in this game. I want to point out that as much as I love Saquon's yardage totals, he's only rushed over 100 yards once this year. And, take that how you will, but he's got a great matchup and let's see, the Raiders give up the third most defensive adjusted yards before contact per carry. Las Vegas has faced the most rushing attempts in the NFL inside their own 5-yard line. Saquon has 25 more carries than anyone else in the NFL since week 6, which is a great number for me. And my bet of the week, which is Saquon Barkley over 18.5 rush attempts. As much as I love his yardage props, and it's way more fun to root for yardage than it is for carries, Saquon has hit that in his last 3 games after coming back from the injury. So I think this is a game that he gets another 22, 23 carries, and independent of how how well he runs for whatever reason, because Evan Neal coming back at right tackle, not a good thing. Like the way he's been playing. So if all else fails, I feel like this is the safer bet, and that's why I went with Saquon's rush attempts.
Okay.
So, all right, let's move on. We have Bills, we have Bengals, we have waiting all day for Sunday night.
This is a Sunday night game I'm waiting for.
Oh yeah,
Well, hell yeah.
Bengals 1.5 point underdogs. Bills plus 110 on the money line for a road upset. Point total 50.5. Ryan, start us off.
Oh my God. If this game ends up being like the shootout that we're all hoping for, um, I'm taking the over on Joe Burrow's 1.5 passing touchdowns, taking the over on Josh Allen's 1.5 passing touchdowns. They're all juiced super high. So I think that's going to happen. Um, let's see. I like Dalton Kincaid a lot in this game. I'm taking Dalton Kincaid's over as one of my top 5 bets of the week for receptions at 3.5. It's at minus 172. Seems like a lock. Um, Kincaid might also get another touchdown. Dawson Knox is out again, and it's evident that when he's out, that's who Josh Allen is looking for at that tight end position. We know Josh loves passing to the tight end, and he's really the only option. Um, I don't know how I feel about the line at 50.5 for the game. Um, I it's probably gonna go over, but I don't want to bet it. Same with the spread. I don't want to bet the 1.5 spread. Um, but yeah, I'm looking for a high powered offensive yards. Let's see, what's Diggs at? Diggs at 86.5. Gabe is at 46.5. Jamar's 84.5. Higgins 52.5. Yeah, I don't know. You guys probably want to bet some of these lines. But right now
Oh, do I?
I'm just looking at the overs for both quarterbacks to get over 1.5 touchdowns each. So, yeah.
All right, Waleed.
So I have a model that basically projects like usage based on the entire season, and I just built one for over the last 4 weeks. In both of those, the number one receiver of the week this week should be Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, therefore, is one of my top 5 bets of the week. Number 2 on the season for usage, and number 3 over the last 4 weeks, Stephon Diggs. So another top 5 bet of the week, because every week for the most part should be a Stephon Diggs week. If you always bet the over on Stephon Diggs every game this year, you were probably going to make money. You would have made money because that's just how he's been. Jamar Chase
Yeah.
has been crushing it lately too. So I'm taking both of those as top 5 bets of the week. My same game parlay has both of those overs, and I ended up going with the Jamar Chase like reception over. Mainly, even though they're both 7.5 for Chase and Diggs, but I'm getting juice on Stephon Diggs. But I went with Jamar Chase because his target share over the last 4 weeks is like 2 targets higher, and I'd rather and I'm going on the usage. It's a lot easier to hit that over, especially with it being that high, if you're going to get like the targets. My number one quarterback of the week, uh, Josh Allen. He's projecting to do that from a pass attempts standpoint. I just want all of those shares. Let's see. Joe Burrow, his line is a little bit murkier for me. on this one. I kind of wish I could have gone Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, but I didn't like the reception line for Stephon Diggs, so I decided to just stick with Jamar Chase, who is probably after Saquon Barkley is my number 2 play of the week in player props.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't tell you the odds too on that. So I only did a $5 bet, and I'm kind of regretting not going dollars on this. But Diggs at 86.5, Chase at 84.5, and 7.5 receptions for Chase. $5 boosted to 443 is going to pay out $27.17.
Okay. So we put in Josh Allen in the TH Fantasy Superflex lineup build, which by the way is cashed 2 weeks in a row. Suck it. But we also, instead of pairing him with Diggs in order to save money, we paired him with Dalton Kincaid. This has Dalton Kincaid week written all over it. We have him with he's one of 9 tight ends over the last 2 weeks to get 10 first read targets or more. He's got 4 explosive pass plays. Those are catches 15 or more yards down the field. And he's forced 4 missed tackles over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, this is Dalton Kincaid week.
Yeah, going against a defense that, I said gives up 63 yards on average to opposing tight ends, which is 4th highest in the league. This is a Dalton Kincaid week. If you can get him cheap, he's a great play. But I am not putting any money on this game because, to be honest with you, I just want to take an edible and enjoy really good football.
Ooh. I mean, I can do both. Well, I can't. You've seen me. I will obsess over my bets.
Here's my plan is that after a big win that I'm going to have throughout the day, I'm going to want to just unwind. You know what I mean?
No, I respect it. Unfortunately, all my numbers point to me putting everything on this game. So I might just enjoy the rest of the week, early slate.
If the noon games and even especially like the Colts Panthers game is good to me, then maybe I'll throw a couple of things down on there. But it's going to be Diggs and Dalton Kincaid if I put any money on any of this stuff. So let's go to Monday Night Football. We have the Chargers going to the Jets. Chargers are -3.5 favorites. The Jets are plus 156 on the money line, and the spread is an even 40. Ryan, got anything?
Brees Hall smashing that over right now at 59.5. Chargers defense is shit. So anything with Brees Hall, I might even his reception over is 20.5 too. They don't have a lot of lines up yet for like receptions for the Chargers. They don't have a line for Allen yet. They don't have a line for Eckler, or they do have a line for Eckler. But Brees Hall all day in this game. That's who I'm going with.
Okay.
I'll wait till some more lines come out tomorrow.
Okay. Sure. What do you got, Waleed?
So the lines that stand out to me the most are I like betting against the Chargers secondary. It's the worst pass defense in football. I think that Garrett Wilson, I'm sorry, at 68.5 looks really tempting. My problem is I don't know if I trust Zach Wilson. I think the Brees Hall at 20.5 also looks really interesting, considering the Chargers are giving up top 5 receiving yards to running back.
Yeah,
20.5 is an incredibly low line.
Yeah, and he had more passing yards last week than he did rushing yards. So
yeah, I know. We all hated it.
Yeah, that's horrible.
But at the same time, like he projects to let me see, over the last 4. I want to say he's got to be. I want to say he's a top 5 receiving play. Yeah, he's number 4 on my list for receptions, like for receiving yards this week. So he's the guy. Or I'm sorry, he's number 3. I think that Brees Hall receiving over, the Garrett Wilson receiving over. I honestly think the Zach Wilson passing over is kind of interesting, but the problem is the idea of betting on a passing over for Zach Wilson just fills me with dread. And this is a man who was willing to bet the Tyson Bagent passing line last week, which did hit because this defense is terrible. But at the same time, like, it's just, like at least Garrett Wilson, or at least with Wilson, I can trust that he will like break free and get something. And he is getting the target share. Like over the last 4 weeks, Garrett Wilson, he's averaging almost 10 and a half targets a game.
Yeah.
So that
He
makes me feel a lot better about like him. The problem is
his
I
last
don't know what was
his
that?
last two games he had a 36 and then a 38% target share.
Yeah, and like target share matters. And frankly, like, yeah, and you see he had 7 catches, 8 catches. The problem is I don't know what I'm gonna get with like Zach Wilson. Like I don't quite trust it. And I hate betting on receivers with bad quarterbacks. Like that's what burned me. Honestly, I would have been 5-0 last week if I had just like if I if DJ Moore had a good quarterback. Like he should
Sure.
have hit it, but
Yeah, yeah.
ugh. All right. Oh yeah,
Anything
no,
else?
that covers me in this game. Yeah.
Okay. One of my bets for the Degenerates Gambit this week is the under on this game. I got it at 40.5. It's now down to 40. So that feels good. You know what? Like, it's so easy. Like, it's Waleed and Ryan, I think, did a pretty good job of talking about this. Everything that the Chargers do poorly, the Jets cannot capitalize on.
Yeah.
And everything the Jets defense does poorly, the Chargers can't capitalize on. The Jets are saying you can beat us by running the ball, and the Chargers can't effectively run the ball. The Chargers are like, hey, you can pass the ball on us, and the Jets can't pass the ball. And I saw a stat this week that I thought was super interesting. The Jets have the lowest pace over expectation on the season when their offense is on the field.
Ooh.
And the Chargers have the 5th lowest pace over expectation.
Really?
So
That's a good stat for unders.
I think this is a slow game. I think this game has a lot of 3 and outs. I think the defenses put a lot of pressure on each quarterback, and I think Monday night kind of sucks, you guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh
I feel
no.
the same way.
But it's great for the under, so I'll take what I can get. Are you guys ready to do some DFS? Because now we're here. We've made it to that part of the show.
We absolutely
Sure.
made it to that part of the show. Let's get to DFS here. And yeah, let's go.
Let's start with our favorite DFS quarterback play of the week. Viscount Ryan Edgecombe, what is your quarterback play of the week?
Let's see. For the main,
Correct. We are only doing main
uh,
slate here.
Yeah,
right.
which sucks because I don't like
Yeah.
any of the main slate quarterbacks.
Correct.
For main slate, you know what? I'm gonna take a stab right here, and I'm gonna go. I'm confident in Houston this week, so I'm going CJ Stroud.
Okay.
Ooh, interesting. I'm gonna go with the quarterback rookie who beat CJ Stroud last week is my stab. I'm going Bryce Young as a sneaky value play at 6,900.
Sure.
This is disgusting. And to
Yeah.
really round out the true shittiness of what we've just expressed to you,
I know what you're gonna say too, and it's so awful.
I am going with McCorkle Jones.
I knew it.
Oh
Oh
wow.
God, we need to take a bath after those quarterbacks.
I'm even
Right.
willing to be like, you know what, guys, I might pay up and get Derek Carr. Like it's one of those weeks.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is awful. And I figured, like, if I'm going to go weird, I don't know if Bryce Young's going to be rostered a lot. I feel like he's not been fantasy relevant, but he could. But like, they did look good. Like that offense looked a lot better coming out of the bye. So this could be a sneaky value play because the Colts defense is susceptible. That's why I like Bryce Young. But
Yeah.
well, that's one of the reasons I like Bryce Young. The other
Um,
reason is you'll see my receiver.
Deku, we're all just completely fading the Millie Maker. I think I'm just gonna do maybe like one single entry build and just like call
Yeah.
it a day.
That-
You
Truth be
know?
Yeah.
told, I'm going to do more super flexes because I want the quarterbacks in the
Yeah.
flex.
I'm gonna
Okay.
get in on some of those quarter lineups for the super flex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then, Ryan, who's your running back play of the week?
Against the Chicago Bears, I'm going Kamara.
Okay. Alvin Kamara.
Especially
Wally.
paying, especially
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
paying down at those quarterbacks. Yeah.
this is we're paying down at quarterback. That's why I'm paying up at running back. And Saquon Barkley is my number one play of the week, so I got to go with him.
Okay. I am removing him as my play of the week, and
Okay.
I am gonna go with Jonathan Taylor as my play of the week.
I love it.
Ooh.
All right. Ryan, your wide receiver play of the week.
Let's see. Okay, we all know I'm all over Tyreek Hill, but that's in Germany. That's not on the main slate. So
Correct.
to pair with CJ Stroud. I'm going Nico Collins.
Okay. Heavy Texans action. Waleed.
So my receiver that I'm going with, Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen is one of my favorite receivers of the week. He's my favorite play. He was my number 2 guy on the usage chart. Also, I'm pairing him with Bryce Young.
Okay. I was initially, if you're paying up, if you're saving and you want to go big at wide receiver, it's got to be between AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb in my mind.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
since I feel that this is a huge top heavy running back week, I'm gonna pair McCorkle with Demario Douglas at 5,400.
Oh
Ooh,
snap.
I love it. I love it.
That entire receiving room is decimated, and he's already been killing it. So that's my wide receiver. Ryan, tell us all about your tight end pick of the week.
We all know who my mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week is. It's Jake Ferguson.
Berg.
He's gonna get a touchdown and 50 yards.
I love that hit in the first 10 minutes of Sunday.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh, all right, there's Ryan's guy. Nice. Good start. Waleed, your tight end.
Honestly, the guy I was looking at was Luke Musgrave, but I don't necessarily feel good about it.
I like
He
Musgrave.
was my secondary. He was another guy to look at because he's only like 48 or 49.
Deku's feeling Mark Andrews. You know, Deku, every time you come in here and you give this Mark Andrews propaganda, we're always like, and then it always hits. So
Yeah, true.
I'm not in a position to ever question it. Waleed, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, honestly, I'm going back and forth on what I want to do with those, and I think that's where I land. Is like I think the value is going to be in Musgrave.
Okay.
Although I do love Jake Ferguson too, but I think Ryan already stole him.
Yeah.
He did. My tight end is also a second year tight end. I am going to go with Kate Otten this week.
Ooh.
Okay.
He's cheap as fuck. The Houston's bad against tight ends, and just as well as anybody could catch a little red zone pass there. Ryan, your fantasy defense of the week.
All right. This one's pretty cheap. It's not like it's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're the 5th cheapest defense. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings.
Love it.
Only allowed 13.3 points to opposing offenses in the last 3 weeks. They're starting to get stuff together, and Atlanta's starting, a backup quarterback. So
You are gonna
Minnesota
have like
defense.
2% ownership on that defense.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
are.
gonna be great. And they're only 3,600, so you can pay up at other shit.
Okay, Waleed.
Oh, you already know who mine is. I want the
Yep.
Rams. I love the Rams. They're the second cheapest DFS play. Lets me pay up elsewhere, and I think the Packers are awful.
I usually try to come up with a different one.
Oh, you
than
know what?
other
You can
people,
take the Rams. You can take the
but
Rams. I have
I'm
another one
taking
I
the
like.
Rams. I'm taking
Yeah.
them. No. We're doubling down on the Rams.
Okay. Because
I love it. But who's your alternate then?
if you got an alternate, I do like the New England Patriots against Washington because I think that that's a game where I think Bill Belichick will make Sam Howell's life like miserable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of quarterbacks that Bill Belichick destroys.
Okay.
You could
So
pay up to at 4,700, the third most expensive one. I like Cleveland. Like I said earlier, I think they're have the most of all the defenses this week had the most possibility to get a defensive touchdown. So
I think it
okay.
depends on whether Kyler Murray plays or not, is what I would say.
I really don't think it matters. And I think it's maybe worse if Kyler Murray plays because
Oh,
he
I
hasn't played in
disagree.
so long.
I think if he plays, he's ready to go. He's already been taking snaps and practicing. Kyler Murray he's got that video game like he's gonna chuck it. He's gonna get points.
And
When Kyler Murray
chuck
comes
it
back,
for a pick
Arizona
six.
starts winning.
Okay. All right. So do you guys want to talk about your DFS build lineups for this week?
I would love to.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me pull mine up.
Who's go? You want me to go first?
Go ahead,
Sure.
Waleed.
All right. So my quarterback here, I got Bryce Young. My running backs, I got Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. My receivers, I got Adam Thielen, Michael Pittman, Zay Flowers. My tight end, Luke Musgrave. My flex, I got Darrell Henderson Jr. with the New England Patriots defense.
Very
All
nice.
right.
Yeah.
All right. So I went with CJ Stroud. I did not pair him with Nico Collins. I paired him with Tank Dell
Save some
because
money.
at running back position, I have Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley.
I was thinking about
Uh,
trying to do that.
I also have Adam Thielen and Rashid Shaheed. I have Zay Flowers. I have Jake Ferguson and Minnesota's defense.
I love it.
Wow.
Send me a screenshot of your lineups, by the way. I want to throw them in, so I at least have a
Okay.
couple of things to root for.
Okay. And my DFS build is Derek Carr, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, Demario Douglas, Cade Otton, Josh Jacobs, Rams defense.
Nice.
All right. And now let's go through. We want to go through our top 5 bets of the week.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. I
Viscounts
think
should
the
probably go
Viscounts.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So let's see here. All right. So my money line parlay for this week: Miami, Baltimore, Philly, and Buffalo. Um, since 2 of those teams are plus money, that is plus 824. I put $5 down to win a little over 46. My same game parlay is from the Baltimore Seattle game. I did Gus Edwards anytime touchdown, Zay Flowers over 4.5 receptions, the Baltimore money line, and the under on the game at 44.5. That is plus 857. I'm throwing $5 down to win a little over $47. My top 5 bets of the week: Zay Flowers over 4.5 receptions, Tyreek Hill's alternate line of over 100 yards receiving, plus 112. Darrell Henderson's low line at 47.5 rush yards, over on that. AJ Brown's over on 5.5 receptions, and Dalton Kincaid's over at 3.5 receptions. And to keep pace with Waleed, just in case we both win, I found a bet that will give us both plus 450 odds for our millionaire. I'm going with Tyreek Hill revenge game, 2+ touchdowns. Plus 450 will give me $55.
I tried
Wow.
not to get greedy because I was thinking of going with my millionaire bet at the plus 150 yardage line for Saquon to try to pull
Oh
ahead, but I
shit.
can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not doing it. If we tie, you get the tie. You get the win because you are still the Viscounts.
That's true.
So okay, so my top 5 bets of the week. We got Saquon Barkley at over 76.5 rushing yards. I got Stephon Diggs over 86.5 receiving yards. Adam Thielen over 66.5 receiving yards. I got Alvin Kamara with over 98.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. And I got Jamar Chase at 84.5 receiving yards. My same game parlay of the week that I boosted here, I got Stephon Diggs over 86.5 receiving yards, Jamar Chase over 84.5 receiving yards, and Chase over 7.5 receptions. $5 boosted gave me plus 443 to pay out $27.17. My other parlay, it's the same game parlay plus because I wanted to use that boost. I got myself Adam Thielen over 66.5 receiving yards and over 6.5 receptions. And then I added Saquon Barkley over 76.5 rushing yards. I put $10 on this one because I feel really strongly about that. That at plus 493 will pay out $59.39. And my millionaire bet to try to take out our Viscounts and become God Emperor and the voice of Lecce once again is Saquon Barkley at over 125 rushing yards at plus 450. It only pays out $45 because I'm using my no sweat bets that I had basically on Thursday night that didn't pay off because
Oh,
we were 5 fucking yards away from Derrick Henry because and
Yeah.
you know what? I want to point out right now the Titans deserves to lose that game because
did.
Derrick Henry was tearing it up, and all you had to do was keep running Derrick Henry, and you win that game. And you're like, you know what we need? We need Tajay Spears on the field when the game's on the line instead of our best player.
Yes.
And that's it.
Okay. So my parlays this week: My overall parlays, just a little two-legger. Kamara over 4.5 receptions. Almost all my parlays this week have Alvin Kamara receiving yardage in them. I'm pairing that with Rashad White over 27.5 receiving yards. $5 down gets me 15-18 back. My same game parlay, Adam Thielen over 5.5 receptions, over 50 receiving yards, and Jonathan Taylor over 67.5 rushing yards. $10 at plus 324 would return me 42.49.
Nice.
Top 5 bets of the week: Kamara over 4.5 receptions. Nico Collins longest catch over 22.5 yards. AJ Brown over 82.5 receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb 70 or more receiving yards. Saquon Barkley over 18.5 rushing attempts. And my millionaire bet is Tyler Algier over 36.5 rushing yards.
Nice.
I love that.
That's it. That's it. It's all there. It's all she wrote.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming to Gambletown. Hope you felt welcome, and we will see you next week. Hopefully, we're all coming back wearing monocles.
Yeah, we're cashing this week, boys. We got
Yeah.
this. And thank you for
Oh, yeah.
joining us. Hopefully you cash as well because our credibility relies on you. So listen to the ones that hit and don't listen to the ones that don't.
Right.
That's my advice.
All right. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good
I don't know
night.
if Evan's here. Evan, are you here?
He said that he's got the he said he had the audio on, so he should be coming to wrap it up.
Okay. Well,
I
then
can't hear him. Yeah.
no need to vamp.